Thaayu gikuyu gitagathira. Thaayu nyumba ya Mobi. Thaayu. They call me Wachira wa Kiragu. Kiragu, son of Wachira. From there, I do not mention them because they go sleeping, ancestor to ancestor. Agukwagu all the way to Mokoroini wa Nyagathanga, where I meet Awagekoyo and my Tomombi, who have loved me so much and have returned me home. I wish to make an official statement. Contrary to the recent statement by the Cabinet Secretary for Internal Security, Professor Kindiki, Mihiriga Kenda is not a criminal organization. We, members and officials of the duly registered Waikari Society, popularly known as Mihiriga Kenda, are greatly disturbed by the statement made on Sunday, the 8th day of October 2023 by the Cabinet Secretary, the CS for Internal Security, Professor Kindiki, who associated our society with criminal activity and demanded for our arrest. Professor Kindiki is in control of the state security machinery and therefore has of the wherewithal to investigate, establish the truth, apprehend and charge culprits of crime, if any. He has instead chosen to make unfounded allegations and threats in public which only serve the agenda of a well-orchestrated church-led campaign to smear our reputation and that of our organization. We take great exception to these allegations and demand that the CS withdraw his statement, and if he so desires, to cause a meeting with us so that he can establish the truth. We have already written a statement with the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, that is the DCI in Kenya. Professor Kindiki is an accomplished lawyer who is well steeped on matters of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 and the rights and freedoms entrenched therein. He has also presented himself as a respectable, sober, and organized leader, and we believe he has been misinformed, that is lied to, by incompetent area national government officials who are playing to the machinations of the Christian church and its affiliates. He should therefore investigate their reports to him and take corrective action against them and their shoddy work. We wish to let members of the Kenyan public to know the following: that contrary to the Cabinet Secretary's statement, we are a non-political organization duly registered as Waikari Society at the Registrar of Societies on the 12th day of June 2015. Secondly, membership of Waikari Society, popularly known as Mihiriga Kenda, Muiyuru, consists of men and women of all ages, from young adults to very elderly citizens, as of our open meetings would show. Members meet once a week on Saturday to conduct their business and programs including religious worship for members and their families. The common bond of membership to our society is a Gikuyu traditional religious practice and spirituality which espouses and values of reverence and worship of the one and only God who created humankind and who revealed himself differently to all ethnic communities and nationalities across the world. We strongly believe that there is nothing wrong with how God, who we call KIRINYAGA, revealed himself to our forefathers. The same way, God revealed himself to the Jews, English-speaking peoples of Britain, or to the Maori in New Zealand, the Kalenjin, the Maasai, and members of the Luo community or any ethnic group in the entire world. Freedom of association and worship are properly anchored in the Kenyan Constitution 2010. We have at different times been condemned by the church and community elders for not being good Christians. We certainly are not Christians, leave alone good ones. Professor Kindiki and other government officials cannot isolate our members with the unfair condemnation that we are not Christian. Of course, we are Agekoyo by birth and not capable of being Christian. Our guiding pillars and our tenets are Thaayu na Udhingu, meaning peace and uprightness. We have noted with deep concern that the statement of Honorable Professor Kindiki is not an exception, but part of a long continuum of discrimination against members of the Agekoyo community who have suffered immensely since the colonial period, merely for adhering to our religious worship and cultural practices. During the colonial period, our ancestors were indiscriminately killed and maimed, while their properties were destroyed and holy shrines desecrated, with the purpose of rooting out our traditional forms of worship and replacing it with Christianity and other forms of European culture and administration. We are not Christians and cannot therefore be forced into a Christian straitjacket. To date, this discrimination has only been directed at our members of the Agekoyo community. We have not seen the same being directed to other ethnic communities in Kenya. Indeed, top government officials attend elaborate cultural ceremonies held by other groups such as the Maasai, while government bodies such as the Kenya Tourist Board, that is the KTB, actively promotes cultural symbols of the Maasai when selling various tourist destinations in the country. In addition, members of the Kenda, the Luo, the Borana, the Luya-speaking peoples hold traditional and spiritual ceremonies and rituals openly without being harassed by the police. With this in mind, we wish to ask Professor Kindiki and the government he serves why they are so hell-bent on harassing any members of the Agekoyo community for doing what other ethnic groups do quite openly. Time has come for the Kenya government to declare whether the Agekoyo are lesser or second-class citizens of this country. We wish to remind the Honorable Professor Kindiki that the supreme law of the land, the Constitution of Kenya 2010, provides for and allows freedom of worship. The Constitution also recognizes culture as the foundation of the nation. Further, the Protection of the Traditional Knowledge and Cultural Expressions Act of 2016 enhances this legal recognition and provides details on how local communities, in conjunction with authorities, can protect their ancient knowledge and cultures. The worship we engage in is a form of cultural expression of the Agekoyo people and is therefore not recognized but also protected by the Kenya law. As a professor of law, Kindiki should be the last person to violate the law that also protects the Nturi Nteke, the traditional and spiritual cultural organizations of all communities associated with the Meru and incorporates into the membership of all prominent sons of these communities. If the cabinet secretary wants to arrest us, as he has threatened, he should also arrest the Meru elders associated with Nturi Nteke, because there is little difference between what Mihiriga Kenda involves itself in and what Nturi Nteke does. It is laughable that people who are not members of the Agekoyo community, Professor Kindiki and other government officials from other communities have accused us of adhering to and teaching the wrong Kerera, which that is the traditional teachings of our ancestors. How on earth did they know that what we teach is wrong? When did they set the standards for the right kirira? Has the government come up with a syllabus for the right kirira? Christian denominations and Kikuyu elders of the Christian faith have separately voiced and called for criticism of Mihiriga Kenda. Interestingly, Professor Kindiki's statement was almost a word-for-word repeat of the same criticism. We know that this has everything to do with the fact that tens of thousands of members of the Gikuyu community are increasingly getting fed up with an alien religion that has more to do with promoting the European pagan culture than the true worship of God Almighty. It is dumbfounding that these two groups have little or nothing to say against the ongoing promotion of homosexuality and lesbianism in the country. It is also quite disturbing that while the government continues to harass Mihiriga Kenda groups practicing and promoting this abhorrent culture were recently granted right of association by the Supreme Court. Gays and lesbians can associate, Thaayu na Udhingu cannot. In conclusion, we hereby state in no uncertain terms that time has come for this long-running, open and ongoing discrimination against members of the Gikuyu community who wish to follow the spirituality and culture of their forefathers to come to an end. We are ready to be investigated to prove our innocence of the accusations made by Professor Kindiki and other senior government officials. However, we will no longer condone such harassment as we saw when the Githunguri Deputy County Commissioner unilaterally closed off our prayer halls. In this regard, we have instructed our lawyers to commence legal action for redress. Finally, since we have long been thrown to court of moral justice, we offer ourselves to an opening and live media forum to explain what we stand for to all Kenyans and to the world at large, in whose eyes our image has been tainted by false narratives. Thaayu, Thaayu, Gikuyu, Gitagathira, Thaayu, Thaayu.